Hello and happy May. This is the tarot for May 1st, 2026. And as I thought about questions for this month, I was tired of hearing about Iran, Israel, the war, NATO, Donald Trump, China, Russia, and all of the topics we've been listening to ad nauseum. So I decided to focus in a few other areas completely. And that took me into questions about AI, extraterrestrials, our money, and keeping ourselves going. So let's begin. The questions asked were, number one, what do we need to be aware of regarding AI and its future? Number two, what will be the effect of an announcement by the government that extraterrestrials not only exist, but we are working with them? Question number three, what advice does the animal kingdom have for us about our money? That should be interesting because animals don't use money. And question number four, what advice does the plant kingdom have regarding our efforts to understand and navigate the wars, the chaos, and the confusion of our world? And the cards drawn were card number one, the Ace of Wands. Card number two, actually I got two cards. I pulled out one and another one came out with it. The first one, the one I pulled, was the Six of Cups, which we got last week, or last month, actually. And then what came out with it was the Magician. It's like, wow, that's quite the pair. And then card number three from the Animal Kingdom, I got the Bat, number 42 in the Animal Medicine deck. And then from the Plant Kingdom, I got Reishi, the Reishi mushroom, card number 27 in the Herbal Astrology Oracle deck. So let's look deeper at these. Question number one, what do we need to be aware of regarding AI and our future? I kept hearing all sorts of conflicting reports about AI. Some said it was going to crash. Others touted it as the savior of the world. And still others just invested heavily. Some only to have the payback slow to a crawl. So I had to ask what the cards would say. And the card drawn here was the Ace of Wands with a wonderful but strict message regarding artificial intelligence and our future. This is a card of let it happen. Let that AI happen. Let it fire the imagination and change the world, but be aware that this is an explosive development. It's like, oh, wow. Let it happen, but be aware that it's an explosive development. The Ace of Wands shows a hand coming from the right with clouds all around the wrist. The fact that the hand is coming from the right indicates that AI is something from the future that will greatly affect the future. It's an invitation to a new kind of future that must be grown into, because it goes beyond the frontiers of our wildest dreams. It promises to carry us into new heights that shape a reality that just would not be possible unless we go through the fires of massive change to ourselves and to the world. Wands represent the element of fire, and they encourage us to get our fire burning brightly. The suit of Wands also symbolizes willpower, drives, deeds, and this tells us that we are driving AI forward, and in turn, it will drive us forward, probably in ways that we have not anticipated. The clouds all around the wrist point to the fact that either the future cannot be anticipated because it is drastically different, or we just haven't bothered to look ahead and think about it. Have you looked at where your life is headed and how things we invent change not only us, but our system and our way of life? That's the kind of looking ahead that needs to be done with AI. The hand is holding a wand, and that wand has begun to sprout, and it has 18 leaves, 8 of them floating in the air. This symbolizes that we are holding the very beginnings of something that will sprout in many directions, affecting every aspect of our civilization. The 18 leaves symbolize leaving behind. The leaves represent leaving behind, also turning over a new leaf, but leaving behind every kind of thinking, idea, and perception of our world, as well as every routine in every sector of life. They also indicate turning over a new leaf, which is often unsettling, but only because we've not allowed ourselves to see, hear, or feel the coming changes. Some of those leaves are floating in the air, which points directly to effects that have not become real or even thought about yet. They're still like floating in the ethers. This is what happens when a paradigm changes. Everything from food, clothing, housing, and health to money, education, science, and governance changes. All of it changes. That's a paradigm change. Since we are already seeing a change from a job paycheck banking, can I say that again? Job paycheck banking kind of life to something that has not taken shape yet, but will likely become an entrepreneur, contract, blockchain kind of life, it becomes critical to look ahead and begin watching for new doors to open because old doors are going to close. The result will be a need to relearn the ropes. Like we had to do when we got out of high school. It's going to be like we're all just getting out of high school and stepping into the world. It will be a new world. So we have to learn the new ropes. At the very bottom of the card, there's a river flowing through a light green landscape. And this represents two things. One is the steadiness of the river of life flowing through our daily experience, carrying us forward endlessly. The other is a reminder that the energy of life flowing through each of us has unique qualities and characteristics, and we are to be true to ourselves. Although many interpret being true to yourself to mean being stable and even unchanging, the true self is designed to change constantly. And the reminder is allow yourself to flow forward, changing as you go. The green landscape symbolizes newness, as well as naivete, lack of experience, immaturity, that kind of thing. It also symbolizes the absence of experience and sometimes a lack of wisdom. Wisdom allows us to bring together knowledge, experience, and understanding while being able to roll with the ups and the downs, the wins and the losses, the uncertainties and the setbacks, yet keep a tolerant attitude that's willing to learn from it all. When nothing can be predicted, your task is to observe and learn. The three trees positioned, they're right at the very bottom of the card, are positioned with one tree standing alone and the other two together. Trees represent family and deep roots in the physical world, as well as tall branches reaching into the higher dimensions. Since wands are about transformation and growth, that single tree standing alone symbolizes that those who awaken and grow beyond their family members and peers often endure a period of ostracism and feeling quite alone. This card represents an awakening and the realization of something so deep, so profound, and so intrinsic to life that it would be impossible to hold it back. That's AI. It says that once we see what is possible with AI, we would not be able to put the genie back in the bottle. Aces also represent a 12-month period of time. And the fact that this is in the suit of wands indicates a fiery transformation that fills the coming year. So get ready. The Ace of Wands warns us that the use of AI would change life so completely that some people would begin to understand the world differently and to build a different reality, and perhaps some have already done so. Is this hinting at the existence of a breakaway civilization? Or does it tell us that we are about to break away from the old world and move into something new? Those who are not interested in AI at all or who refuse to change may be left behind or left out and will struggle to manage tasks that they once did easily but no longer understand. All the processes have changed. They would struggle. The castle on the hill represents a need to stabilize home and security in the face of a changing world. And the light gray sky represents a need for a slow and gentle detachment from the old ways. So key words for the Ace of Wands are vitality, transformative action, adventure, wariness, breaching frontiers, explosive mixtures, dissipation, refinement, emancipation, transition, connecting heaven and earth, ambition, dynamic, and exuberant. Okay, question number 2. What would be the effect of an announcement by the government that extraterrestrials not only exist, but we are working with them? So I pulled the 6 of Cups here, but the Magician card fell out with it. And this is an interesting pair of cards. This is the second month in a row that the 6 of Cups has come up, which indicates that we need to be looking toward the future because another gift is being offered. And this month it has to do with extraterrestrials. The Magician card emphasizes this gift as magical if we are willing to use it. The 6 of Cups shows a dwarf wearing a red hood and offering a cup of thornapple blossoms to what appears to be a child. However, it's not a child. It's a small woman with 2 faces. One old that turns away from what is offered, and one young face that looks for what is offered, looks forward to it. This represents a clear division in the population, and it says that some will refuse to believe anything regarding extraterrestrials, whereas others will eagerly accept this information and the possibilities it brings. When you look at this card, The dwarf, who represents other dimensions of life, is larger than the woman. And this symbolizes that acknowledgement of extraterrestrials would introduce us to a larger dimension of life, as well as cause us to grow and mature. The white glove on the woman's hand is a symbol of gentility and human tradition. But the thornapple flowers in the cup are a symbol of change that is bewitching and total. The message is that such an announcement would expand the horizons of our knowledge and the cosmos to the point that we would not be able to go back to the old ways because we would have so many more alternatives. It would be like an adult trying to return to childhood. At the far left, right on the left edge of the card, a watchman with a staff is walking away from the scene. The fact that he appears to be leaving indicates that former laws and limits that hid information from us, supposedly for our own safety or our own good, supposedly, those laws and limits will no longer be there for us. And we could be on our own with people who are much more advanced and powerful. The large buildings in the background symbolize shelter and security. But the fact that they are a dusty yellow, that indicates a big intellectual shift. Okay, a shift in what makes us feel safe and secure. Would knowledge of the extraterrestrial presence leave us feeling uncertain and insecure for a period of time? Would the infrastructure systems we depended on for centuries suddenly look wobbly or childish and ineffective compared to the systems used by those who travel the stars? The large X on the side of a table or bench behind the dwarf symbolizes a specific moment in time that marks not only a turning point, but a point of self-examination that seeks to integrate something new. It is a sort of X marks the spot or X marks the moment when everything shifts. The Magician card then picks up the energy of that shift. For much that appears magical is just something that we do not understand. The magician wears a red mantle, symbolizing passion and the ability to generate energy that does the desired work. On the table in front of him is a cup, a sword, a wand, and a pentacle. These are the tools of change used by the ordinary folks of the world. That's us. But the magician knows that it is the ability to use these tools in harmony with the energies flowing through life that makes the magic appear. The magician stands in front of a table or bench, and that table represents reality and what we tell ourselves about that reality. We have all heard the statement that goes something like, anything that science cannot explain simply appears to be magic. So I can go out in my backyard almost any summer evening and watch a number of unidentified flying objects moving among the stars. These objects are not imaginary, and they're not using magic to move around. They are real, and they're using science and engineering in ways that most of us do not know and have not experienced. So how would our transportation systems change if we had access to the knowledge used by those flying among the stars? What do you think would change in your kitchen or your laundry room if appliances were engineered using that advanced knowledge? How would healing be different What about the vehicle in your garage or the kind of work that you do every day at your job? An infinity symbol hangs in the air over the magician's head. And this tells us that the introduction of any information regarding extraterrestrials would cause life to feel like a roller coaster, at least for a while. We might have to work hard at maintaining balance. The magician's arms form a diagonal line with his right arm pointing up toward the heavens and the left arm pointing down toward the earth. And that symbolizes that we humans are the connecting link between the heavens and the earth. And the introduction of extraterrestrials would open those channels of connection between the two. In other words, the introduction of extraterrestrials would open us. What the magician tells us is that if we want to travel the heavens, we must develop our magic. The serpent is a symbol of awakened consciousness, and the magician wears a belt that is a serpent. This points to the fact that awakened consciousness is the key to making the kinds of decisions that result in a new way of seeing reality and new knowledge that would allow us to travel the stars. Advanced consciousness leads to the advanced science and engineering that gets us off the planet and into interplanetary travel, even interstellar travel. After years, decades of cover-up, lies, and propaganda, many people might laugh at any announcement by the government that extraterrestrials exist. People might claim that, those ETs were ordinary people wearing masks, or they were robots made to look like ETs. But these two cards together tell us that such an announcement would be a gift, and that it would create a period that felt somewhat chaotic, that everything would change, and that we would learn to access and use our own potential in powerful, almost magical ways. We would likely need to establish new meanings for many things and would discover that the things we thought were only science fiction are actually real and bring new and wonderful science and understanding for all of us. The Six of Cups is known as the Lord of Pleasure. And keywords for this card are interaction with others, dominion, fulfillment, elegance, setting limits, establishing contact, sharing, transition, intense, nostalgia, exchange of gifts, and yearning for the past. The Magician card is known for indicating that one is setting out on the path to making a difference. And keywords for this card are uniqueness, miracles, manipulation, potential, inheritance, skill, roller coaster, diplomacy, subtle awareness, passion, new beginning, intellect, and transforming earth. Question number 3. What advice does the animal kingdom have for us regarding our money? Like I said earlier, animals don't use money, but I thought maybe we could get some perspective. So the card drawn here was the bat, number 42 in the animal medicine deck. And the main message from bat is you are about to be initiated into a death and rebirth process. Whoa. Okay. Bat is a symbol of birth, death, and rebirth. It announces an initiation that starts with shamanistic death. This is a process. Shamanistic death is a process that is meant to break down all former ideas and routines of life that were once considered normal. And it always forces those undergoing the initiation to face all of their fears of survival. Wow. Bat medicine points to a period of being forced to transpose the self into a new human being. It symbolizes the need for death of some way of life that no longer suits what we are becoming. It warns of the death of old patterns, and it says the quicker we can let go, the shorter and less painful the process will be. Since our question is about money, is this telling us that a breakdown or a complete change of our money system is going to begin and will shock us out of, even prevent us from being able to continue the routines we have followed for decades? Would you panic if you turned on the news one day and discovered that the old money system was being replaced and you had no idea what that meant for your bank account, your 401k, or your investments? The next thing that Bat tells us is to prepare for the rebirth. Bats sleep with their heads down, and this is the same position that an infant takes in preparation for birth. It says that we must grow into our future, and the path may be narrow and tight, filled with great pressures, but that we will emerge into a new state of understanding and growth. Bat encourages us to meet that dawn with whatever bravery we can muster. And it also signals a time frame that says there is less than 6 months to prepare, and sometimes 6 weeks. We'll have to wait and see. In preparation, Bat says that things will appear to go from bad to worse. Okay? Until nothing works any longer. This then forces the initiates, that's us, to take responsibility for their lives and open to the power within, which then overcomes all fears. It warns that the initiation can be traumatic, and yet the tests cannot be avoided. In spite of its strong message, Bat brings a promise of rebirth and empowerment. Bat is the only mammal that can fly. And it says we will be able to move to new heights and view the world with an entirely new perspective. This kind of change in perspective often opens doors we could not have imagined before. But it tells us that even if we have never believed we could rise to such heights, even if our flight is kind of fluttery and jerky like bats, we will be able to move through the remaining chaos with a sense of joy and accomplishment. New truths, great strength, new stamina, and new horizons are the promise that Bat brings. The advice from Bat is listen carefully to words being said as well as what is not being said. We have to listen to our leaders and listen to one another, especially to one another. Bat tells us to trust our instincts. It urges us to use our nose as a sort of sonar capability to discriminate between those who are telling us what we want to hear and those who are telling us what we need to know in order to use power wisely and well. Bat is powerful medicine, and the medicine can be difficult. but it always indicates initiation is beginning, and the rebirth brings both promise and power after the changes. So hang in there. Question number 4. What advice does the plant kingdom have for us regarding our efforts to understand and navigate the wars, chaos, and confusion of our world? And the advice here is from the Reishi mushroom, number 27 in the Herbal Astrology Oracle deck. I am not as familiar with mushrooms as I am with other herbs and plants, but I love the message that Reishi brings. Its message comes down to one word: retreat. Retreat. We are asking for advice in how to deal with the world, and the wisdom from Reishi says, back off. Let go of everything you are worried about or afraid might happen. It's time for a bit of ordinary quiet. It tells us, go about our daily chores with an attitude of quiet appreciation for the people, plants, animals, and tasks that make up our daily life. Reishi is one of the oldest medicinal mushrooms that we know of, and it is an herb of spiritual potency, success, well-being, divine power, and longevity. Its ability to renew and rejuvenate is more powerful than ginseng. It keeps you stable. Reishi keeps you stable, both mentally and emotionally, and it nurtures and tones the spleen, which produces the red blood cells that carry the oxygen that enlivens you. In light of the tendency for modern populations to be completely distracted by the next new toy, the next new politician, the next shocking news report, the next story of coming disaster, Reishi says it's time for a bit of hibernation. It urges taking time away from the world and going into quiet retreat, perhaps for a day, maybe a weekend, or even a solid week, in order to enter into a state of profound relaxation, calm the mind, and gain clear focus. This allows the endocrine and hormonal systems to regenerate, and hormones influence perception, moods, sleep cycles, the ability to bond with others, and our awareness of reality. They are critical. Hormones are critical in helping create a good quality of life. Thus, regeneration is something that is needed, even when life is quiet and ordinary, but it is especially important in times when the apple cart of life goes wild or turns upside down. Reishi symbolizes a need for increased wisdom, and it influences our chakras and spiritual centers very powerfully. Reishi is ruled by Jupiter, the guru of planets, and the one that brings access to the mysteries of life. Understanding these mysteries, one of which is the cycle of unfolding, that brings wisdom. Understanding these mysteries brings the wisdom we need. And right now we're in a cycle of unfolding. An increase of wisdom is something that is gained through experience. A young parent raising their first child tends to hover and worry about everything that child does or doesn't do. A grandparent who has already raised a child or two recognizes what is important to pay attention to and what is just a stage that will pass naturally. Reishi is like a grandparent telling us, take a break, just relax. Something is occurring that involves the cycle of unfolding, and we just need to renew ourselves from time to time in order to make it through without undue stress. The guidance Rishi offers is that it's time for a pause, time for some renewal, time to let go of the mental and emotional concerns that have overloaded the stress circuits in the body. It suggests meditation of whatever sort best engages you in quiet pleasure. Now, that could be gardening, that could be meditating, regular meditating. It could be cooking, it could be sewing, it could be building something. So it suggests meditation of whatever sort best engages you in quiet pleasure. It warns that overstimulation and indecision on top of one another lead to a feeling that death is coming, when the truth is that change is coming. Change is all around. Rishi advises that it's time for recuperation and renewal, and it promises that personal growth will follow. Says Rishi, create the space to be in silence and calm the internet chatter. Reflection is the key to self-mastery. And given the messages from the Ace of Wands, the Six of Cups, the Magician, and Bat, self-mastery is definitely something we need as we move into the future. So that's it for this tarot. Let's do a quick summary of what has been said. Question number 1. What do we need to be aware of regarding AI and our future? And the Ace of Wands has a wonderful but strict message regarding artificial intelligence and our future. This is a card of let it happen, let it fire the imagination and change the world, but be aware that this is an explosive development. And explosive generally means tending to break things up, destroy things. AI is something from the future, and it will greatly affect the future, our future especially. It is an invitation to a new kind of future that must be grown into because it goes beyond the frontiers of our wildest dreams. It promises massive change to ourselves and our world. And it warns that either the future cannot be anticipated because it's drastically different, or we just haven't bothered to look ahead and think about it. We are already seeing a change from a job, paycheck, banking kind of life to something that has not quite taken shape yet, but will likely become an entrepreneur, contract, blockchain kind of life. And this says that we will need to relearn the ropes as if we were all just getting out of high school again. The Ace of Wands warns that the use of AI would change life so completely that some people would begin to understand the world differently and to build a different reality. And this would result in a huge division and splitting of those here on Earth. This card tells us that when nothing can be predicted, it's time to observe and learn. That's our task, observe and learn. Question number 2. What would be the effect of an announcement by the government that extraterrestrials not only exist, but we are working with them? And the Six of Cups and the Magician were the cards that came up. An interesting pair. They point to a gift of power and magic. A gift, it's being given to us, a gift of power and magic being offered to us in such an announcement. The gift is coming from another dimension of life and involves changes so drastic that we might end up longing for the old days. Such an announcement would expand the horizons of our knowledge and cosmos, and our knowledge of the cosmos, to the point that we would not be able to go back to the old ways because we would have so many more alternatives that it would be like adults trying to return to childhood. The Magician card encourages that shift. And it reminds us that much that appears magical is something real, something we are capable of, but that we do not understand yet. The Magician wears a belt that is a serpent, which points to the fact that awakened consciousness is a key to making the kinds of decisions that result in new ways of seeing reality and new knowledge that allows us to travel the stars. Question number 3. What advice does the animal kingdom have for us regarding our money? And the card drawn here was the bat, number 42 in the animal medicine deck. And the main message from bat is you are about to be initiated into a death and rebirth process. Whoa. It announces an initiation that starts with shamanistic death. I've been through that. It's not fun. Shamanistic death. This is a process that is meant to break down all former ideas and routines, all former understandings of life that were once considered normal. And it always forces those undergoing the initiation to face all of their fears. And usually those are fears of survival. Bat medicine points to a period of being forced to transpose the self into a new human being. And it symbolizes the need for the death of some way of life that no longer suits what we are becoming. It warns of the death of old patterns and says, the quicker we can let go, the shorter the process will be. Question number 4, what advice does the plant kingdom have for us regarding our efforts to understand and navigate the wars, the chaos, and the confusion of our world? And the advice here is from the Rishi mushroom, number 27 in the Herbal Astrology Oracle deck. Its message comes down to one word: retreat. We are asking for advice in how to deal with the world, and the wisdom from Rishi says, back off. Let go of everything you are worried about or afraid might happen. It's time for a bit of ordinary quiet. Modern populations tend to be completely distracted by the next new toy, the next new politician, the next shocking news report or story of coming disaster. But Rishi says it's time for a bit of hibernation. It urges taking time away from the world. It reminds us that regeneration is something needed regularly, even when life is quiet and ordinary, but it is especially important when the apple cart of life goes wild or turns upside down. It warns that overstimulation and indecision lead to a feeling that death is coming, when the truth is that change is coming. Change is all around us. So let yourself change. And let that change be a good one. So that's it. Thank you for listening. Happy early Mother's Day, or early happy Mother's Day to all the women of the world. And I'll see you next month. Take care.